All right, so let's see. So our step one, H naught is mu1 equals mu2 equals mu3. H1 is at least one mean differs. Step two, write down alpha. What was our alpha? What was our alpha?
0.05.
Alpha is 0.05. Great. And then you're going to get the stat test A nova. Rodessa, what did you get for your A nova?
3.95.
F equals 3.95.
Yes.
And your p-value is
0.0545.
545. All right, so then we're going to compare our p-value, 0.0545, to alpha, which is 0.05. You might want to give them the same number of decimal places to make them easier to compare. And then you can say, oh yeah, 545 is more than 500. So my p-value is bigger than alpha, which means we do not reject the null hypothesis, which means we do not have enough evidence to reject the claim, because the claim looks like that they were the same. Reject the claim that the means across the regions are the same. Yeah?
Wait, for step 3, how'd you want us to write? Did you want to just write A nova or one way?
Yeah, you got to write this part. You can skip this part here.
So did you want us to write the one-way nova or just A nova?
Just A nova is fine.
Okay.
L1, L2, L3.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you folks do lab problem 11 from your quiz. We did lab problem 9 already a second ago, right?
Yes.
And we did lab problem 10 already, correct?
No.
No, we didn't do lab problem 10?
No.
Oh, do lab problem 10. The classes did it, but do lab problem 10 now, and lab problem 11. So let me see if I can find lab problem 10. All right, so yeah, here's lab problem 10. Do lab problem 10. You have 4 minutes. Can I break you folks for a minute and talk about something else?
Sure.
Okay, so I forgot. I meant to talk about this. So this semester I've been really bad about it. I usually try to do these things about like, we're talking about one thing or 2 things or 3 things that I think are important just to share with you folks in general. And I don't know why I haven't done that many this semester. So here's my one thing for right now, for today. Who's heard of imposter syndrome?
Huh?
Yeah. So imposter syndrome is this thing where people get into a college and they're like, I don't belong here, I'm an imposter, and they panic or whatever. But it's real across like everything. So next semester I'm going to be academic senate president, which I'm kind of nervous about, right? And I'm sort of a little panicky because people think I'm more capable than I am. They're like, oh yeah, actually no, she's got it together, she knows what she's doing. I don't. I really have no idea what I'm doing, right? So I'm not that organized. I'm like, and tonight I'm going to a board meeting where they might introduce me as next year's academic senate president, which I'm totally freaked out about because someone's going to look at me and say, oh yeah, she's going to handle, all the reports for the faculty of Las Positas, and they don't really know that I'm not, I don't really know what I should be doing. Yes.
You sound very nervous.
I am super nervous about it.
You sound really nervous.
I am totally nervous. But the thing about it is,
Doesn't it? You have to like ratchet it up. Because it was.
oh right, I have to go with it. I know. But what happens is, I think we focus on our flaws more than other people do, right? So, we focus on what we can't do or we don't know. And the thing about it is, everybody else is pretty much in the same. They're all doing the same thing. They are all probably just trying to stay above water and not realize, like those little ducks, right? You can see their feet go go go, but you can't tell from above the water, right? There's this reason why it came up was there was this article that came out a couple days ago. People have been shooting it around about student belonging, and they're saying that they talk about how a lot of students their first semester at college, they feel like they don't belong. And they're like, oh, everyone else should be here. They all know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Or, they all know how to be a student or whatever. And what they don't realize is that a lot of other people feel the exact same way. So what they've talked about is having these surveys where people can, kind of say how they feel about how they belong or not and other things, and so they can realize that other people feel the exact same way that they feel. So what makes them feel like, okay, I'm not unusual. This is typical. And I don't know if you folks, you're probably closer to high school than I am, so you might remember the first day of your freshman day at high school. Mm-hmm. Right? I was terrified. I was excited, but I was terrified. But I was worried, am I going to belong, and am I going to fit in? And I still remember that a long time later. So that's my first thing I was going to say. And then part of that leads into one of the best things about getting old is you don't really care as much about what other people think.
True.
Or maybe you just realize that there's more to life than that. Hey guys, I'm talking, please. So I think we also kind of see what we can do and what we're capable of, and we see our own strengths more than other people see as well. So if you think about, so we know what we see our own flaws, we also see what we can do. So they always talk about husbands and wives arguing. Well, the husband's like, I mow the lawn and I take out the garbage, I do this, that, and the other, and she doesn't do anything. And the wife's like, I do all the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry, and he does nothing, right? So they see what they do, and they don't necessarily recognize or remember what the other person does. So it goes both ways, right? We see all the things we do, and not necessarily what other people do. We also see our own flaws, and not so much what other people's are, because we are more focused on ourselves, frankly. Right? So I remember when I was younger, I'd look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, my hair looks weird or whatever, and people don't really care besides me if my face looks weird or whatever, right? So that's my thing for today. All right, go ahead, start the problem. So, take a quick look. Let's go this way. Set the hypotheses. mu1 equals mu2 equals mu3. Is H0 or H1 is at least one mean differs, or at least one differs. Which one was my claim? There is a difference.
Claim, so H1.
Yep, so H1 is the claim. Find your alpha. What's the alpha? 0.05?
105, yeah.
Compute the p-value. So you all did ANOVA. There are 3 lists, so you did L1, L2, L3, and you got a F of, anyone? 5.0.
5.035.
Yeah.
0.03?
Yeah.
5? Sure, okay. And a p-value of?
212.
Yeah.
212?
0212.
0212.
Yeah.
Great. 0212, which means that my p-value is less than alpha. So we're going to reject H0, which means there is enough evidence to support the claim that there's a difference among the means. Good. So now, you all can do this problem, lab problem 11. Okay, so lab problem 11.
Go.
Take a quick look here.
Spurs who?
So our step 1, H0, is that mu1 equals mu2 equals mu3. H1 is at least one differs. That's our claim.
So it's supported.
Alpha is 0.05. And then for step 3, we're going to do ANOVA of, let's see, how many lists do we have? 3. So you ended up with an F value of 112. Is it 0.4? And then a p-value of 0.00167. Since my p-value is less than alpha, we're going to reject the null hypothesis. And again, if you have trouble with these, just make them have the same number of decimal places. Add more zeros after that so they have equal decimal places. And then because we're going to reject the null hypothesis, right, we rejected H0, that means we have enough evidence to support our claim that at least one mean differs. Okay?
I think
Yeah.
the
My F.
F is drawing.
Oh, what was the F? I asked you and I said 112. No one said anything.
Oh, we got
14.149.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll just keep writing random numbers until someone corrects me. Okay, I said, what's the F? I asked what the F was and no one said anything, so I threw out a number and no one said anything, so there we go.
I thought I just got it wrong.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make stuff up. Okay, now, the hardest part, I think we can all agree that chapters 10 and 11 are pretty doggone easy, yes? The hardest part is knowing what kind of problem it is, because if you do a chi-squared to a linear regression, it's going to be all kinds of trouble, right? You're going to lose at least 70% of your points on that problem. So we're going to spend some time today, maybe the next 20 minutes or so, sorting through trying to figure out what kind of problem it is. So the first thing is thinking about the variables themselves. If there are two variables, and what these variables are, the answers, in other words, a variable is what did you ask each person? And were their answers numerical or were their answers categories? So not just what your question is, but what are the answers to your questions? Right? So if the answer to the question is, okay, how many cars do you have? Make up a number, or make up something.
4.
4. You wouldn't say yes or blue, right? You'd give me a number. What was your income? Make up a number.
100,000.
100,000, right? You wouldn't say, what's your income? Purple, right? They're both going to be numbers. Everyone kind of follow that? So if your two variables are numerical, then, and I'm not saying that cars and income are numbers. I'm saying the answers to them. How many cars do you have? What's your income? The answers are numerical. Right? That's what makes a numerical variable. Everybody on board? Then that is going to be that linear regression, chapter 10. It should say something like correlation or regression in there as well. So linear regression, that's the one that has R in it.
Right.
Are your variables categorical? In other words, let's pick what's your favorite ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream?
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. Is that a number? No. So the answers are categorical. If that is chi-squared. So anytime that it's categorical, it's chi-squared. It's going to have words like proportions in it. It's going to have frequencies in it. Does that sort of make sense for folks?
Also relationship.
And talking about relationships. If there's one variable you know, like what's your favorite ice cream, then that's going to be the goodness of fit test. GOF 11.1. If there's two variables like what kind of puppy are you? Are you a black lab, a yellow lab, or a chocolate lab? And are you male or female? That's going to be the chi-squared matrix. 11.2. Makes sense. And again, often mention frequency, proportions. Those are all the chi-squared type words. Your variables are categories. Ancestry variables are categories. If there are multiple variables and lists, and you're talking about means, right? The means are going to be there, and you have. I kind of thought it was being one variable, right? And that one variable is a number. But in theory, there's actually two variables because you also know what group they're in. So in theory, you know one category, one categorical variable, and one numerical variable. Then that's that ANOVA. And again, that's going to have the word mean in it always. So that's the 11.3. So this I did for folks kind of towards the beginning of COVID, and they found it useful. So I've kept it since then. Another way of looking about it is the variables. So what do you know about each person in the sample? If you know two variables and their numbers, that's linear regression. That's when you find the R and they're in pairs of data. If they're categories, then that's that chi-squared matrix. Again, chi-squareds have things like frequencies, proportions, and their categories. If you only know one variable about them, then if it's a category, that's the chi-squared list. If it's a number, then that's the ANOVA. Though again, technically there's also a second variable of what group they're in. So technically that's two variables, but one numerical and then one for the group. But you can also think about them visually. So I would like you folks to take a minute with your neighbors and just visually take a look at these and try to figure out which one is which, and then maybe after the visual we might have to go a little more into detail about things, but just take a minute with your neighbors and try to figure out which one of these is which problem.